Good day, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to review these 3 video journals submitted for consideration in the Amplifier, the FLC Video Journal. I am Dr. Nic Guinto of Southern Luzon State University in the Philippines. I'm pleased to offer this brief review following the insightful comments already provided by Dr. Barbara Musinska. I wish to focus on a few observations that may further strengthen the framing and contribution of these video journal submissions. Now, since A Love Tale for Putri Seri Gumung and Today I Will Be Brave are presented as outputs under the broader project, Digital Indigenous Related Stories as Tools for Language and Culture Learning, I will combine my comments on both works. First, I would like to commend the project team for its clear and meaningful intention, which is anchored on the credible framework of Dr. Amar Mahbub and his team. Beyond supporting language learning, I believe that the initiative serves as a valuable effort to help local children and youth appreciate their folklore, cultural heritage, and indigenous knowledge systems. This community-oriented purpose is one of the strongest aspects of the project. Now, for the overarching project, Digital Indigenous Related Stories as Tools for Language and Cultural Learning, I echo Barbara's point that it may be helpful to provide a brief background on the Orang Asli for viewers who may not be familiar with the community and its cultural context. This information might be useful for non-locals like us to better appreciate this important and inspiring work. I also wish to reiterate Barbara's point about providing us some methodological backgrounders, some discussion on how stories were gathered and documented, including who participated in the process and how they were recruited. These would strengthen the project's methodological transparency. I also understand that the stories are meant to make local students appreciate their culture. Okay? However, since this is now submitted for the world to see and for the world to be inspired of, we might need to further enrich the discussion of the cultural dimension of the stories. It may be useful to include information about the storytellers and the contexts in which these narratives have traditionally been shared, because I believe that understanding who tells these stories, where they are told, why they continue to be transmitted, or if they may no longer be transmitted, and what other modes of transmission exist would provide valuable context for viewers and deepen the educational value of the videos. So, having learned that A Tale of Putri Seri Gumum and Today I Will Be Brave are outputs of students from the main project, I think that we could reframe the main project instead of asking for modifications in these 2 outputs. That's because initially I thought that it might be best if the stories are told in the local language and that English subtitles can accommodate non-locals. But considering the intention of the project, which is under the English Language and Linguistics curriculum, the suggestion to use local languages for digital storytelling of indigenous related stories can be adopted for other classes or by other researchers. Thus, rather than positioning the project primarily as an effort in indigenous knowledge preservation, it may be more accurate and impactful to present it as a pedagogical model that demonstrates the application of the credible framework in English language and indigenous knowledge classrooms. In this framing, I believe that students engage with indigenous knowledge system and local cultural resources as part of their English language or English learning experience. This approach would make the use of English in the outputs pedagogically justified and aligned with the objectives of the course. Now, this reframing may even warrant reconsideration of the overarching project title, as similarly observed by Barbara, so that emphasis is placed on the educational model, its classroom application, and potential community impact. This positioning would highlight how English language teaching can meaningfully draw upon the indigenous knowledge systems and cultural experiences of the communities from which students come. So that said, The project also opens possibilities beyond English language education. So, for educators and researchers who may wish to replicate similar digital storytelling activities in disciplines such as social linguistics, language documentation, cultural studies, it may be worthwhile to encourage students to produce stories in their local or heritage languages, accompanied, of course, by subtitles where necessary, for other people around the world to see. This approach would allow digital storytelling to function not only as a vehicle for cultural learning, but also as a means of supporting linguistic maintenance and revitalization. As for the videos themselves, the storytelling is actually very engaging. It's visually appealing, very accessible to the audience, to audiences of different ages. So I really congratulate the students who produce these stories, these outputs. And I particularly appreciate how the moral lessons embedded in the narratives are clearly articulated, and that the fact that it is a concerted effort of the undergraduate students themselves, um, is really very commendable. In the pursuit of preserving the through digital storytelling, the folklore that may otherwise be lost in this hyper commercial late capitalist era. Thus, these submissions demonstrate the potential of digital storytelling as a creative pedagogical tool that bridges language learning, cultural heritage, and indigenous knowledge systems. With a slightly refined framing, the project could make an even stronger contribution to both educational practice and scholarship. Thank you very much.